A word on this from Donica McCarthy, Director of the Climate Media Coalition. Afternoon to you, Donica. We've spoken so many times over the years. I know you love a windmill, you love a wind farm, all the rest of it. And here it is today. Your fox has been well and truly shot. They don't really work properly, and they're putting people's energy bills up. Do you want to apologise to the nation now?
I think what we should apologise is what we just heard from the Institute of Economic Affairs. They refuse to reveal who funds them, and Greenpeace revealed that they're actually funded by oil companies. So what the oil companies have done is they've funded secret think tanks to pump out lies about renewable energy and about nuclear power. Let's face it.
What's the lie, Donica?
He just talked about actually that renewable energy is not delivering, it's not feasible, it's not cheaper. In the United Kingdom, per megawatt, nuclear is £120 per megawatt, and wind energy is around £43 per megawatt. What is happening today, Ian, is an extraordinary scandal that many media people miss. Did you realise the National Grid is a privatised corporation?
Yep.
Now, they make around £4 to £5 billion a year to build and maintain our national grid. And what they have done is they've pocketed the money and put the costs onto consumers over the last 10 years. As big a scandal as the oil industry. Because what should have happened over the last 10 years, they should have built the grid so when the wind farms come online and the solar farms come online, as they knew they were coming, as we have invested in, as private companies have invested to build them, they should have been there, and they're not there. What have they done? They're pocketing the profits, the huge profits from cheaper green energy, £90 per customer, and they're passing on the cost of £15 to pay the wind farms not to produce when there's too much. What should have happened, they should have built the grid, and they failed. And the Labour government Miliband is trying to address that by speeding up two huge cables coming from Scotland down to England, which will be in place within around 3 or 4 years. He's speeding that up, and it's the right thing to do. And what we need to do is to tackle this failed privatised utility company.
Well, we've still got a privatised Great British Energy as a private element to it, because it's private corporations or companies that will be financing it, of course. So, and of course, a great deal of taxpayer money. Isn't the overarching question here, Donica, that the net zero project is too fast, too soon, and too expensive? Nobody says, look, why don't we have... Hang on, let me just finish the point. If we had a parallel... if somebody said, look, this is cleaner energy, whether it's solar panels or wind farms, and it works brilliantly and it's more efficient, I don't know anybody that would say, don't do it. Of course it would be better, but we're not ready for it. We can't afford it at the moment. We don't need to go at this speed.
Ian, I beg your viewers to go onto the Department of Energy website and see what the price of various energies are. The Institute of Economic Affairs just lied through their teeth to you. And why are you spouting the lies? It is cheaper. Green electricity is already cheap in the UK. We have some heritage funding from around 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we did have to subsidise it. No wind farm that got a contract in the last 5 years is getting any subsidy. What we are having to pay for is because of the failure of this privatised utility to build the infrastructure that was needed. And who are the
But we're turning them off when there's too much wind, and then when there's not enough, we have to turn to alternative. So it's invariable, isn't it? And then that's the problem.
I'll explain to you why. There's two reasons why we have to pay to them to turn off sometimes. One is because we didn't build any storage, and second, we didn't build the cables. Rather than building the cables, National Grid pocketed £5 billion every year for the last 10 years. It's an utter scandal, and you and I are paying for it, and poor people across Britain are paying for it. But as regards to today's announcement, thankfully, it's a 2% rise in electricity prices, which is thankfully below inflation. So it's a de facto cut.
But they're already through. There's nowhere else on the planet, no first world country that has energy bills like ours. And you can't dismiss Ed Miliband's evangelism on all of this, Donica. I know you sing from a similar hymn sheet on this. It's not the full catch-all answer to everything, just build windmills. You know, we've got to survive with the 21st century.
He's not actually building only wind turbines. He's actually building cables and storage, which is what they will do to bring it down. And actually, what we actually need to face is that we are looking at cheaper bills if the private companies stopped ripping us off.
Well, Ed Miliband can do something about that. He's literally the Secretary of State for this area.
On many things, the Daily Mail and I disagree on, but the one thing we do agree on is we've got to stop allowing our electricity bills, prices being set by the most expensive electricity, which is nuclear and fossil fuels. And that's the crazy thing about Farage and Reform. They want to trash the cheapest and bring in the most expensive.
But the cheapest doesn't mean it's the best, does it? That's one of the problems here. It doesn't mean that it's the most reliable.
Well, the reliability can be dealt with storage. We're absolutely now ramping it up. Under Miliband, we're ramping up storage. My house has solar panels. For 30 years, I had to buy electricity at night time for 20 years, I had to buy it at night time when the sun didn't shine in Camberwell. Since last February, I have got batteries. I haven't had to buy a single kilowatt of electricity in Camberwell at night time, even the sun isn't shining, because I have solar power stored in my battery. That's what we need to do nationally. And the interesting thing is the cost has collapsed over the last 10 years, Ian. The cost of storage per megawatt an hour is £91. The cost of gas electricity is £113. The cost of nuclear is £120. Even storage is cheaper than fossil fuels and nuclear. And I think what we need to do is to have a law that actually all our think tanks should declare their funding. Ed, we should not have people like Andy Marr coming on the show and we don't know who funds them. It's outrageous.
On that point, Donica, thank you very much indeed for your time. Donica McCarthy, it's outrageous what our previous guest said he believes, because we don't know who funds him. I always find it slightly skew-if when people suggest that those that have an expertise in a certain area will only spout almost a pre-scripted line because they are funded by X, Y and Z. It's quite hard for a human being to just completely lie consistently, daily, on the hour, every hour. It's almost impossible. It's just possible, however, that Andy Mayer completely believes what he said, and there are other like-minded, there might be corporations that have an in on it. I never buy into that, well, unless we know who funds you, therefore you're an unreliable witness. I think he fundamentally disagrees. And what I extrapolate from that, listening to Donica McCarthy more than anything, is nobody is against an alternative form of energy. What people are against is the clear evangelism that is attached to it. And by the way, if he wants to talk about those with vested interests, have a look at Ed Miliband and the team around him. These are the old Corbynites. I think there was one advisor that dared to say, oh, this might cost taxpayers too much money. And she was told to walk the plank. But everybody else is that kind of hard left, kind of Marxist thinking advisor character. I'd say they are people with a skewed vested interest view, politically or otherwise. So yeah, if you've got a system that's going to work better, then we'd all embrace it. But we have a real sense. All this stuff is a bit like Bluetooth. You know, Bluetooth is still not fully there, right? You know, we've all managed to kind of almost insert our phone into that Bluetooth speaker when it tells you to please put it close to the device. And you think, is this thing going to bloody well? How much does it? How close does it have to be? Because it's not quite there yet. And I think the same with all of this. Bring it on, maybe 50 years time, have your windmills and your panels, we've got it sorted out, and by then, by the way, we might discover an entire new source of energy. But the rush is clearly costing consumers. The clear rush, the religious race to this, added to which the ego of politicians who want to put their hand up at those intergovernmental conferences and go, yeah, we did it first, we got more wheels than you, therefore we're greener, therefore we're better. And that, boys and girls, is what it's all about. 0344 499 1000.